So it's been a few months, the hype is settled. Where do we stand with Palworld? Game is rapidly dying. Is this game dying? I'm worried.
87% Palworld dying.
And I guess this very concerned person at Forbes, except we have this sick dev tweet that makes an incredibly valid point. There are a lot of great games to be playing right now, and just because one that's in early access gets a little stale from time to time, doesn't mean it's a dead game. Like, check this out. 48,000 players on a random Monday when I took this footage. With a 24-hour peak of 115,000, that's good enough for 11th place on Steam charts, and that doesn't even count the Microsoft users who got it on Game Pass. Suffice to say, Palworld's still a great game to take in a view. Love your buddy in Japanese, or learn the meaning of futility. So what is actually wrong with this game?
I think there are some wonderful graphical errors, though, that happen a little too easily. Like things I like to exploit, like going through the ground and exploring underneath it, going into some of the dungeons and clipping through these things. But in normal gameplay, maybe we should fix them. Like they can be very inconvenient at times. We found that in one of the boss battles we did, when poor old Skepti Polos here got stuck in the ceiling.
Yep, that was fun.
While I can understand them being like visually entertaining, doing it by accident, like getting stuck under a hill because I charged with one of my mounts and it went into the meshing, that gets frustrating, especially because if you die, sometimes your stuff can fall to the floor as opposed to onto the map, and if you're not in an instance, it doesn't pop it out for you.
I second that, in that the way that you interact with the world sometimes is a little messed up. You can literally just enter a dungeon, escape the map, and then fly to the end and loot the chests and teleport out.
It really is.
In that same vein, a couple times we've had someone have that twister move and it pushes the boss into the wall and you're borked at that point.
Yeah,
which sucks if you're adventuring with all of your stuff. Like, you just crafted top tier armor, weapons or whatever, and a bunch of ammo, and it's expensive. Just to lose all that to a glitch can be frustrating. But the other thing is actually the way that pals interact with and traverse your base. If you have them inside of a building or in a structure, it gets really janky really fast, especially if you add doors or anything like that. Gates makes it worse.
I would love to be able to build multi-storied buildings and not have to carry the PAL upstairs for them to do a task upstairs. They should be able to climb multi-story buildings. That would help with the limitations of how wide we can go.
Yeah, pathing is very frustrating, especially when it seems arbitrary. Like, B-Guard was struggling to work a ranch because she couldn't take a break behind it. But, if I have a fence there, it shouldn't try to path the PAL through it. It should just be a different path for the PAL altogether. So for me, the building structure map, I don't know if that's more of a want or a fix, but as far as the structure overlap system, because sometimes you'll try to put down a staircase and you have to delete this wall because for some reason they don't match up,
Like it does that with the roofs as well.
Yeah,
I've noticed that between roofs and ramps, if you have a wall built, good luck. If you have one of those angled wall pieces, if you have that one placed first and then you try to place a ramp, it will not place the ramp. You have to place a ramp first. So their collision needs a little work. Actually, there was a bug where I had teleported to a location and then didn't move from where it teleported me, and then when JP teleported in, it placed him underneath me and shot me into the sky. That's something that kind of sucks, having to worry about getting launched into oblivion just for not moving when you teleport somewhere. My saving grace was that I had a glider. If I didn't, I would have been a lot more frustrated with that glitch.
I've seen that happen to like pals, alpha pals and stuff that they're hunting. Randomly, they'll just walk onto something or be hit by something and it launches them into the sky and the fall damage kills them, So obviously there's a lot we would be looking forward to in the game, right?
I would love to see underwater pals, or even like an underwater part of the map. Obviously more pals in general, but I'd like to see more underwater kind of stuff.
I think that would be really fun. Maybe find some kind of resources down there, some sunken city.
Yeah, or like a jellyfish that you slap on your head and that increases your oxygen.
Yeah, something like that. That would be cool. I think there needs to be like a structure behind it as well, because one of the things I find falls short in training on the gameplay, like something that would actually tell you about the breeding techniques, instead of like maybe these random journals that you can happen upon and might be able to discern something from.
Is that what those are?
I think so. I never read them.
I've never read one.
Neither have I.
So they could be in there, but that's kind of my point. You have to find them, and there's nothing driving you to find them or read them. So maybe something with a little drive.
Like a little guide on the building that you can open. Once you build it, you press K or something and it tells you how to use the building.
They do have that little starter's guide, but the starter's guide it maybe covers 10% at most, maybe. Like, there's nothing about the breeding inside of it. I don't think making a breeding pen is even part of it. It's just the harvesting pen that's part of it, I think. And in order to beat the bosses, you have to do the breeding. You cannot beat the top bosses with base pals that you catch in the wild.
You're right. You know, if it's going to require that much input, it needs a little more intuitiveness as far as in-game. Don't send me to Google to figure out how to get these two things in a particular way. Especially with, breeding out traits, that can take forever, and then you're stuck wondering if you're even doing it right in the first place.
Just more expansive, like tooltips.
More expensive tooltips. That's a good way of putting it.
I hope they find an innovative way to implement expansions. Paul had been talking about if they implement it like World of Warcraft, where it's an instant zone separate, but you can see it on a global map, kind of like Pokemon, where it's another island, but it's technically a whole nother zone that you can free run in. But it has a different PAL dex that goes with it, and all of those different things.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think it would increase the replayability a lot too.
Yeah, massively.
I guess my closing thoughts are, I think it is a fantastic game for early access. It is very playable. The number of pals already in the game in early access is fantastic. The gameplay itself is a lot of fun, and the boss fights are enjoyable.
And the originality of actually having they're fun and cute, but at the same time you can butcher them. It's not just, oh my god, thank you Pikachu, we're heroes again. No, we eventually ate Pikachu and replaced him with Raichu. You can catch people. These pals, they don't faint, they die. It's a survival game, and it's a hard knocks life out there for a pal.
No, it is very impressive for early access. They've done really well despite even all the bugs. I still played all the way through.
Thank you for joining us for our review on Palworld. We'll be back after the next patch. Join us for Helldivers on the in-between. Like and subscribe to the video. Catch you later, plebs. Well, look at this sexy sack of base management pixels right here. Screw democracy, I'm going back to Palworld.